Morning, everybody. Um, this Wednesday is the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. It's the one holy day of obligation that we always celebrate, no matter when it occurs, because she's the patroness of our country, United States, under the patronage of Mary, the Immaculate Conception. So I want to just say a few words in preparation for that great feast day. Pope Pius IX was the 253rd Pope of our Church. He has the distinction of being the longest reigning Pope of all times. 31 years, 7 months, 3 weeks. In his 8th year as Pope, on December 8, 1854, he did two things. He made St. Joseph the protector of the universal church, and he declared that Mary was to be believed immaculately conceived. And what he was saying is that this is how it all began. Our salvation didn't begin with the Annunciation, it began with her Immaculate Conception. She was holy for a long time, not just the moment of the angel Gabriel coming to her. And I love the story that they tell. Her parents, Joachim and Anne, were elderly and had no children. And God granted them their wish, and so they had a child, and it was Mary. And Anne said that if she could have a child, she would dedicate him to God. She would bring him to the temple to stay there. And so when Mary was 3 years old, Joachim and Anne brought her to the temple to present her to the Lord, and that would be where she would stay. And as they were walking away, of course, as a mother wondering, would she be okay? Would she miss them? They turned around, and there was Mary, 3-year-old Mary, dancing on the steps of the temple. Mary's greatness is not just in being a mother. Her greatness is in being a disciple. She is considered by us as the greatest of all the disciples. And this is why. In 1984, a man named Mark Lowry was preparing a Christmas program for his church. And he asked himself if he could sit down with Mary, have a cup of coffee, what would he ask her? And out of that question to himself came the song, Mary, Did You Know? It was written by Mark Lowry and came from that thought of sitting down asking Mary, Mary, did you know that your baby boy would one day walk on water? And did you know your baby boy would save your sons and daughters? And would you know that the child you delivered would one day deliver you? My contention is she didn't know. That was her greatness. That she said yes to an unknown future. When the angel Gabriel came to her, she didn't say, I'll get back to you. Give me a few minutes. I got to think about this. I got to talk to Joseph. She just simply said yes. She didn't say she liked it. She didn't say this was a great idea. She just said, whatever you say, whatever you have, I give you my life. I give you a yes. And she is the great Advent woman, one of the great leaders as we go down this Advent road. We have Isaiah and John the Baptist, and especially we have Mary. And Mary reminds us that in order for Christ to be born into our life, we need to say yes. He needs a yes. He needs us to be empty so he can come and fill us. I would like to just close with that thought. Jesus was an unexpected pregnancy, and she said yes to that. And I'd like to close with this little litany for her, which kind of summarizes what I want to say to you today. It goes like this. If I would have known that my son would be born in another town in a cold stable, I would still have said yes. If I would have known that Joseph and I had to run for our lives because someone was going to kill my child, I still would have said yes. If I knew we had to go to Egypt and live as exiles and refugees until it was safe to return, I would still say yes. If I knew that we would lose my son for 3 days and not understand his behavior, I would say yes. If I knew that he would be rejected by his own hometown and by his own relatives, I would still have said yes. If I knew that the most powerful and trusted religious leaders would consider him a heretic, I would have said yes. If I know that his disciples would run away and that one of them would betray him, I would have said yes. And if I knew he would be arrested and scourged and mocked and crucified, I would have said yes. And if I knew that I would have to stand at the foot of the cross and watch him die and be able to do nothing, I would say yes. If I would have known that I would hold his dead body in my arms and place him in the tomb, I would have said yes. And if I knew that he would rise from the dead and forgive those who persecuted him, I would have said yes. Be it done unto me according to your word. That is why Mary is our greatest saint. And that is why she is the great woman of Advent. She reminds us that in all the circumstances of our life, we must say yes. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.